Hello and welcome. My name is Michelle Colarelli, and I am here to talk to you today about the Padlet benefits for classroom learning during the pandemic and beyond. I'm from the CU Center for Interprofessional Practice and Education at the Anschutz Medical Campus. So just to give you some background, we have been designing curriculum for all learning environments since 2014, meaning in-person, online, hybrid, and remote. And then the pandemic really pushed us to start designing to all learning environments at once. We've always had a pre-existing problem, which is that we have a really large cohort of about 700 to 800 students per term, and we bring them together in team-based learning and basically distribute ourselves across the campus in 20 classrooms and expect our students to arrive on campus for our synchronous sessions when we are in person. We always have had issues, however, that some students cannot participate in person based on where they live, their time zone. We often run into some program clinical conflicts, which the clinical placement takes priority to the classroom session that day. And then we also have always had pre-approved absences that we've had to cater to. So our challenge has always been, how do you include an asynchronous learner in the synchronous inter-team discussions and the classroom learning? We use the team-based learning methods, so we rely heavily on report outs for our classroom learning. And when we were in person, we were using paper handouts, whiteboards, markers, report out cards where they hold up a letter, gallery walk post-its on those giant post-its, etc. And then we started moving things online so that the person who was not in person could actually see the product in the Canvas learning management system. But we were using discussion boards, and it created an extra group, which created more confusion with Canvas navigation and added to kind of just some of our course clutter in the learning management system. Then we moved to remote via Zoom. And at first we were going to use Poll Everywhere, but we found that it was really cost prohibitive because of the scale of our course and the fact that we needed to duplicate it 20 times for our 20 classrooms. Then we tried to move to the Zoom survey or chat, but again, it was really hard to duplicate it for our volunteer facilitators for those 20 classrooms. And so when we found Padlet, it was really the answer for us. It was affordable and really highly intuitive for faculty, students, and administration to use. Now, I primarily design using the shelf format where you can create columns, but there's a lot of different options for what your Pinboard can look like, and you create timelines, maps, etc., which is really useful for different activities. So just to give you an example of why the Zoom chat report outs don't work well, this is taken from a conference I attended earlier in the year. And as you can see, the speaker has the question presented on the screen, and we were all virtual, so we were attending via Zoom. And then we were expected to go into the breakout room and answer this question. However, the question was not carried forward into our breakout rooms. The moderators were scrambling to get the question and to bring it to us. And then once we return to the main room where we report out, as you can see, all teams or rooms reported out in different formats. Some of them, it was easy to identify which room they were in and what they answered. Some had these codes, some didn't say what room they were in, etc. But the cognitive load of the facilitator to figure out how many people answered A, how many answered C, etc., can be really confusing. So putting the same report out into a Padlet, you can see that the instructions are easy to follow when they get into the breakout room. The report out question is there. And then for the facilitator, it's really easy at a glance to recognize nobody chose option B. The majority chose option D, etc. In team-based learning, we try to do simultaneous report outs. So one of the downfall of Padlet is you can't really control that the fact that groups or teams will see that, hey, most people are choosing D, and we might want to change our answer. But we added something that we found useful, was that we asked the teams to justify their answer, and this allowed them to basically remain with whatever their team chose, because that's what their discussion was about, and that's what they could write onto the post. Now, if you attended some of our other sessions here at Colt, you would see that I was using the grid format again, and we really welcome dissent, right? It's part of the conversation and the learning. Is we want to carry on the conversation of why these two groups chose two different scenarios for these categories, whereas others were all in agreement. So again, it's really easy to glance at and facilitate that conversation. And then we also used another one where we had them color code the answers themselves. So again, it's easy for the facilitator just to pull that out. Now, one of the best benefits for our course is that the scalability, as I mentioned, we have 20 classrooms. And so administratively, it's really easy to duplicate these boards. It's really easy to post a document that gives links that are easy to identify for each classroom. And you can post the document or the link itself easily to Canvas, the Zoom chat, or you can also even use QR codes. This is an example of a gallery walk. So we like our teams to learn with and from one another. And this came from a really successful session where we had the teams create a discharge plan. And we wanted them to recognize that every discharge plan was different based on the team composition. So some would have dentists, others would have PTs, etc. And it changes how they approach the case itself. We also wanted them to practice giving the instructions verbally and what it would sound like for the patient to hear the verbal discharge plan. And so this was a great way for them to review each other's products. We actually carried it forward into the next session, and they could compare and contrast their own product with the other teams. So the benefits are that it's really highly intuitive to work with. It's easy to duplicate. It reduced the number of items for facilitators to review. It reduced the number of Canvas groups and discussion boards. It was much better visuals to facilitate from. The students can return for review, which helps with that peer review. And it was accessible to those learners that need to participate before and after a session. And we also found an added benefit, which was that the students could look at the task ahead of time, which helped them understand what we were doing in the session. Now, one of the best rewards was seeing the student feedback from our exit survey. As you can see, this student found it was really helpful for them to see their teamwork in the Padlet. They were able to see how the other teams approached the same case, and it informed their understanding of the approach and how they would structure their own contributions to the group, which is exactly what we're seeking. We have learned some benefits, or we have some lessons learned, but basically always post why you use it. Students need to know why they're using this tool and why they might need to post things twice. So we have them post their team submission in Canvas, which is only visible to the teams and facilitators. And for us, the use of Padlet is for that classroom learning and for those people that are absent or not able to attend to view the classroom learning. We also want to give examples and have them practice before use in the session. So in conclusion, Padlet is an educational technology or online pinboard that it really improved our ability to facilitate the classroom report outs. It engaged our learners in their inter-team discussions. It helped us with gallery walks, peer reviews, and the dreaded makeup assignments. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I really love designing with this tool, and am happy to share that with you. Thanks so much.